We always hear that big changes in life need these huge, massive efforts. But what if that's not quite right? What if the real key to a total life makeover is just one small change done over and over again? Well, today we're diving into a story that shows just how powerful that idea can be.
So let's get right to it. Is discipline really more important than having tons of money or being a genius? To answer that, we're going to take a trip to a little village called Kashipur and meet a boy named Ramu. He's about to find out the answer the hard way.
So in this village, you have this boy, Ramu. And everybody liked him. He was a good kid, known for having a kind heart. But there was this one thing, this one big flaw that kind of held him back from everything. And here's the thing about Ramu. He was kind of two people in one. On the one hand, he had this genuinely good heart, always helping people out, showing respect. But on the other hand, absolutely zero discipline. We're talking sleeping in late, dodging any kind of work, and pretty much just spending all his time playing around. And you can imagine his parents were worried sick. The whole village would say the same thing. Yeah, he's a smart kid, but he's got no discipline. But Ramu, he just shrugged it all off. For him, discipline wasn't some key to success. It felt like a cage, something that would stop him from being free and enjoying his life.
But then, as it so often happens, something shifted. Everything started to change the day Ramu happened to cross paths with the village's wise old teacher, a man everyone respected named Guru Vishwanath.
So picture this. Ramu's just kind of lounging under a tree, not really doing much, when he hears the guru talking to some kids. And the guru says something, just a simple phrase really, but it completely stops Ramu in his tracks.
And what he heard was this: discipline is the greatest strength. So simple, right? But for Ramu, it was like a lightning bolt. Could that possibly be true? Could discipline actually be more powerful than being smart or even rich?
You know that feeling when a question just gets stuck in your head? That was Ramu. He had to know more. So he walks right up to the guru and asks him about it. The guru just gives him this little smile and says he'll answer. But only if Ramu can do one simple thing. A thing that, for Ramu, was going to be incredibly difficult.
So, the next morning, Ramu had to face his very first and maybe his toughest battle. And it wasn't against a monster, it was the battle against himself.
Okay, so way before the sun's even up, you hear the rooster crow. And right on cue, that old familiar voice in Ramu's head kicks in. You know the one. Just stay in bed, it's so warm. What's one more day gonna hurt?
But then, something else pipes up. A different voice, one that reminds him he made a promise. And he actually fights with himself for a minute there. But this time, the new voice, it wins.
And when Ramu finally drags himself there, all sleepy-eyed, the guru is already waiting. But he doesn't scold him or anything. Instead, he does something amazing. He looks at this small act, just getting out of bed on time, and calls it a huge achievement, his very first victory against his true enemy, his own laziness.
Okay, so that first win was huge, but it was just step one. Now, the guru was ready to show Ramu what the difficult path of discipline really looked like in the real world.
And this is where the guru is so smart. He doesn't just sit Ramu down for a boring talk. Nope, he takes him out to the fields and just has him watch the farmers. He points out how their success, the food they grow, it doesn't come from one amazing day of work. It comes from the discipline of showing up every single day, whether it's hot, cold, or raining. That, right there, was discipline in action.
And something clicked for Ramu. For the very first time in his life, he actually starts building a routine. He starts waking up early, he sets aside time to study, he even makes sure to balance it with playtime and regular meals. He's creating a structure with purpose.
Of course, it's never that easy, right? It wasn't just an internal fight against his old habits. His friends started giving him a hard time. You can just hear them. What's with you, Ramu? Did you turn into an old man all of a sudden, always worried about the time?
But whenever he felt that doubt creep in, whenever he wanted to just give up and go back to his old ways, he'd remember what the guru told him about the river, this idea that a steady, gentle current hitting the same stone every single day can eventually carve a hole right through it. It was a perfect reminder that this wasn't about giant leaps, it was about the incredible power of doing a little bit every single day.
So that's the daily grind. But what's the payoff? What actually happens when you stick with that small, consistent effort over a really long time? Well, for Ramu, the result was nothing short of a total transformation.
Well, time goes by. You know how it is. Days blur into weeks, then months, then years.
And every single one of those small, disciplined actions starts to add up, building on top of the one from the day before, creating this momentum.
And after a few years, the change was just complete. The lazy kid everyone knew, gone. In his place was the most knowledgeable, the most respected, and the most disciplined young man in the entire village.
And you know what's really interesting? How everyone else saw him. Their entire perception of him flipped. Before, it was all, yeah, he's smart, but he's lazy. Now they were saying his discipline was his real strength, that it was even more valuable than his intelligence. And this all builds up to one last really important conversation between Ramu and the guru, and it holds the biggest lesson of the entire story.
So, one day, Ramu goes to the guru to thank him for completely changing his life. But the guru, in his wisdom, turns it right back around on him. He explains that discipline isn't something you can give to someone, like a gift. It's something you have to grow, to cultivate inside yourself. The guru said, I just showed you where the path was. You were the one who had to do the walking.
You see, Ramu's story is such a great reminder that our greatest strengths aren't things we're just born with. They're things we decide to build. Discipline isn't some fixed personality trait. It's a practice. It's that choice we make to take those small, consistent steps, day in and day out. And that really just leaves us with one question, doesn't it? What's one small, consistent thing you could start doing today that could turn an ordinary part of your life into something truly extraordinary?